Hey, what's up guys, this is MugenLord here, and today, as I promised, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 16 because the game released in a couple of days, and I just want to give you all my raw, overall thoughts, expectations when playing this game. I have yet to play the demo. I won't be playing the demo since the game is just around the corner, and I wanted to step into the game blindly, but there's been a lot of praise for the game as far as what Yoshi P and the studio has done, as far as making it feel like a traditional Final Fantasy game, despite the massive overhaul and changes with the overall combat system, with them going actually fully on action. So before we step into this video, I'm going to make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So, just like the description or the title of the video says, what are my expectations for Final Fantasy 16? Now, Final Fantasy 16, in my personal opinion, you guys already know this, when it comes to how controversial it is, when it comes to it being a mainline Final Fantasy game, they actually going to take the liberties to actually do something quite different, which is the combat system. They actually went out their way to actually get the battle director from Devil May Cry to actually work on this game. Now, I know they said that don't expect it to play exactly like Devil May Cry, but we actually get the gist of, yes, this is a fully on action Final Fantasy game. And in my personal opinion, I was never a big fan of this radical change. Now, I know everybody has their own definition of what a Final Fantasy game means to them, but when it comes to Final Fantasy, the combat is really, besides the story, besides the other elements, the combat and the party systems and the things and the mechanics that they have within the gameplay, to me, in my personal opinion, has always been a thing that stuck with me and has been the definition of what a Final Fantasy game is. And this radical change really has the community divided. I'm in the camp of like, hey, I'm not really liking this. Yes, I love my turn-based. Final Fantasy has always been synonymous with turn-based. Yes, we had the action time-based system, and Final Fantasy has been experimenting with many different things, but to me it seems as though as Final Fantasy began to get higher in the mainline numbers, they've been experimenting, trying many different things, especially with Final Fantasy 13 and beyond. And in Final Fantasy 15 was really the straw that broke the camel's back as far as the gameplay is concerned, and they just haven't found this tradition ever since. So when it comes to expectations, I guess I'm looking to see if Final Fantasy 16 would change my mind in the perception of what I believe Final Fantasy should be compared to what it was in the past. If it can pull that off, I think Final Fantasy 16 has done its job when it comes to that sense. Now, when it comes to Final Fantasy 16 as well, I believe this is going to be a great game. Yoshi P has proved himself with Final Fantasy 14 and his team, so I already know for a fact that Final Fantasy storyline for Final Fantasy 16 is going to be excellent. I am not doubting that, and if you watch my previous videos, you guys would know that I'm not just crapping on Final Fantasy 16 just to crap on it. I have my gripes, I have my concerns, the same way I have my gripes and concerns with Final Fantasy 7 Remake Trilogy, which we'll do a video on that pretty soon. But I also give credit where credit is due. I know that they have one hell of a story just waiting, just by some of the reactions from some of my favorite YouTubers, you know, and some of the streamers that's out there that's been playing it. And then my brother Keel Lancer and DX Strike has definitely played the demo and enjoyed the hell out of it and everything. So I'm just expecting this game to change my mind. Like, what I love about Final Fantasy the most is the party management. I love being able to command and give my parties the particular commands that I want, and able to swap back and forth and use them in order to accomplish certain objectives and tasks during battles. And in Final Fantasy 16, we don't got that. This is more so a single party or single man or single controlled character type of action RPG compared to the past Final Fantasy games. Yes, you have AI partners, and the AI partners will do what AI partners do, similar to what you see in other action RPGs, you know, like Kingdom Hearts, maybe Star Ocean, and many other things. But the only difference is with Star Ocean, you're able to switch and swap back and forth between the characters. So I guess more akin to like Kingdom Hearts with their party members like Donald and Goofy, where you don't have no control over them. They compete, they pretty much complete their own tasks and everything, but they don't work too hard to the point where it makes it easy for the player, but they're just there. and that's what it seemed like they're doing with Final Fantasy 16 when it comes to the party mechanics, which is a bummer. But as I said before, if they can change my mind on that, or where they make it to the point where it still feels like I'm in a traditional Final Fantasy party, then I think they pretty much have pulled it off. Now, another expectations that I'll have for Final Fantasy 16 is, will it keep me playing the game for hours? Will it keep me glued to my seat where I don't want to do nothing else? I'll play Final Fantasy 16 from the time I turn on my PS5 all into the time to go to bed. You know, like the only time I take breaks is to go to the bathroom and get something to eat. Like that's my expectations. I'm hoping Final Fantasy 16 does that for me, because gaming hasn't really been the same for me. Like, gaming used to be like that, where I buy a game and I'll sit down for hours. Even a grown-ass man like me, I will still sit down for hours if the game captivates me. It pulls me in to, you know, want to sit down and get into the characters, get into the lore, get into the world. You know, you get lost into that fantasy world and everything. And I'm hoping that maybe Final Fantasy 16 would do that for me, because, man, Final Fantasy VII Remake, like I said, I'm not really a big fan of the story, but Final Fantasy VII Remake, since I have so much nostalgia, I have a connection with Final Fantasy VII, and I'm a fan of Final Fantasy VII. I love the combat in Final Fantasy VII Remake, and my curiosity of how Square Enix took the liberties to, you know, to pretty much take the original story and see where they're going with this had kept me glued in to Final Fantasy VII Remake. The time I get up and I take my daughter to school, I used to come home, turn on my PS4 at the time, and just play Final Fantasy VII Remake all day. It was kind of hard making content because I was playing that game all day. And then I end up getting it for the PS5, the Integrate version. And I end up playing that for hours. And then I even live streamed it for you guys as well. And I had a good time with that. So when it comes to my expectations with Final Fantasy 16, I'm hoping that Final Fantasy 16 also do the same thing that Final Fantasy VII Remake and many other games, because Xenoblade Chronicles Trilogy has done that for me. I sit down for hours and on top of hours on top of hours playing Xenoblade Chronicles. The Alive remake, I had done the same thing with that. I have done the same thing with Diofield Chronicles, and also Star Ocean, The Divine Force. And this crazy thing is, most of them except for Xenoblade happens to be Square Enix games. So if Final Fantasy 16 can pull that same feat off, I think they have done their job to like really convince me, or to pull me in to the game. And despite me and, you know, my gripes that I have with Final Fantasy 16 in terms of the direction it's going as far as the combat is concerned, I still hope for the best, and I still wish for the best for the Final Fantasy series, because Final Fantasy 16, it's been a while. Yoshi P and his team are so passionate, and a game as passionate as Final Fantasy 16 deserves to be recognized. I think it deserves to get the sales, so, like I said, if it's actually good, but the overall product. But a game like that definitely deserves to be recognized, and I think they should be rewarded, you know, for fans to go out and actually purchase the game. Now, the only drawback is for a fan like me is the fact is that if it does well, then all it's going to do is alert Square Enix and tell Square Enix that, hey, we don't have to go turn-based. Like, from now on, we'll probably, Final Fantasy 17 and 18 will probably be a single man party again, and it's going to be all action-based and stuff. So that's the only thing that I'm afraid of, you know, when it comes to the success of this game, because companies, they're all about profit. They all about what works for, you know, the company, what works for a particular IP. So if this game does astronomical as far as numbers is concerned, then I think we can pretty much kiss traditional Final Fantasy goodbye, or somewhat of a hybrid Final Fantasy goodbye, and it's just a completely become a completely action oriented type of series moving forward. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about, but I do still want this game to be successful, because it also alert other developers to say, hey, if you put your passion into this game and you work hard and you actually create a complete product, people are going to go out and support this game regardless. So they don't have to cut corners, they don't have to cut out content, they don't have to put monetization in it, they don't have to put all these crazy season passes and stuff. They can just create one game, make it full and complete, and people go out there and support it. So that's why I'm an advocate for this game to actually do well, because this is old school right here. Besides From Software, they've done good with the Soul series, and we got the upcoming Armored Core 6. There are another developers that prove that you don't have to come up with massive DLCs. You don't have to come up with all these microtransactions and everything. You can just come out with a full, complete product day one, and bam, make numbers. The game made Elden Ring made Game of the Year. So Final Fantasy 16 seems to be the case too. We only get one patch where they just tweak a couple of things. They were confident that they didn't have to patch, but things happen. So that's my expectations for this overall. I'm just hoping that this game can convince me that, hey, this is a mainline Final Fantasy game, and that it's not a new IP to itself, but it is a Final Fantasy game. And I also expect this game to have me sink my teeth into it and play this game for hours. So that's what I'm expecting to get out of Final Fantasy 16. So that pretty much wraps this video. If you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Once again, hit that notification bell. Definitely hit that like, because like definitely helps me. So if you don't comment, you can always like my video, because it gets me in that algorithm. The algorithm is important. Engagement is important. As long as you guys engage into my content, it would have my content spread throughout the algorithm and more people be recommended to my content, and it helps out the channel. So that wraps this up. This is MugenLord signing off. See you Game Fiends later. Peace out.